All right, now let's talk about the difference between independent voters and non-affiliated voters. Are you ready? Who here thinks they're the same thing? Bah, wrong. As we get closer to the election in May and then November, you're going to want to pay attention to the difference on this one. Independent is a political party in Oregon. You can be a member of the Independent Party. I checked today, they have a lot of them, about 140,000 members. Non-affiliated is not a party. In fact, it's barely a thing at all. Most of the people who are non-affiliated got put there when they got their driver's license for the first time or renewed it. That is, if they were not already registered. That does all happen automatically, and you stay non-affiliated unless you go in and change it, and you have to do that by registering with one of the 8 political parties in Oregon. If you don't do that, you're left in the category of the non-affiliated, which is fine, but it does mean you're not going to be able to vote in the primary election this May because those are only open for people who are registered either as Republicans or as Democrats. By the way, if you do want to vote in the primary, you can still change your registration. Go to the Secretary of State's website, but you have to do it by April 26th. And here's the thing. For the first time in Oregon history, that non-affiliated group that's not a party, that non-affiliated group, they are larger now than Democrats or Republicans. I checked today. They have 1,023,000 members. That's amazing. I talked about that with our KGW political expert, Len Bergstein, today.
That is a huge deal. I think this is the first time that an unaffiliated group has been larger than either the Democrats or the Republicans.
You're exactly right. And that's what's kind of gotten everybody saucer-eyed in the political world. And again, it's hard to know how they perform. So we can talk about the things you've got to do as a campaign political hack to try and convert this bucket of voters who are registered into activists. Those folks who are non-affiliated obviously can't get involved in a primary. They're not registered in one party or another. They could change their affiliation and then get into a primary, but they can't vote as non-affiliated in the primary.
And just to clarify too, there is no non-affiliated party structure like there is a Democratic structure or Republican structure, correct?
That's correct. Or even an independent, so if you were, if you wanted to qualify for the ballot as an independent, you would have to go through a kind of a qualifying process.
Bergstein thinks it explains why Betsy Johnson is running for governor as an unaffiliated candidate, meaning she does not belong to any political party now. She used to be a conservative Democrat. And I know it's confusing, non-affiliated, unaffiliated. Just work with me here. He thinks that Johnson is aiming for that huge block of non-affiliated voters and also gets to skip the primary. He thinks it'd be hard for her to win the Democratic primary or the Republican primary. After the primary, she will get a certain number of signatures from people who want her on the ballot. If she gets enough, then she'll be the major third candidate there. But back to the non-affiliated voters. Will they really actually turn out and vote? I asked Len about that.
So if people are, the argument that I've heard is if people don't care enough to pick a party, would they care enough to actually be mobilized to vote?
It hasn't proven that way in the past couple elections. And NAVs, non-affiliated voters, have showed up, and they're a very important target. And just because they got there easily doesn't mean they're necessarily not highly attacked. And then you have to look to other criteria like education levels or kind of money, kind of the means and so on. And so the other criteria to see just how active they're going to be.
So you non-affiliateds, you're a big deal. Stay tuned. This contest for governor in Oregon this November promises to be something we've not seen in more than 30 years here in Oregon, a real 3-way race for governor. I think it's going to be fascinating to cover. We're going to do a lot of that right here on The Story.